what was the lead up there where you finally got your place, TLC?
Yeah.
And then it leads up to Chalice and whatever, like.
So basically at that point, you know, we were at TLC, we were going through a bunch of shit, city lawsuits, you know, we're dealing with the old licensing stuff, all that stuff, you know. It was just, you know, and then it was like, we kind of created the Jungle Boys, you know, and it was like, hey, we started the Instagram, you know, and I remember we had Jungle Boys for a while and it got deleted and we were Jungle Boys with a Z, you know, because our Instagram would get to, even back then, it would get deleted, you know.
It started with that girl coming in though and saying, this looks like a jungle.
Yep. And then Juice was like, yeah, we're the Jungle Boys, you know? And I remember she like drew a picture of it, you know, and it was like, it's probably still around somewhere, you know, and it's kind of, that's just kind of how they're just like organic, you know? It was like nothing was like forced or, you know, we didn't sit in a room like, oh, let's try to make a brand, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, we and at that time it was like, there was no real weed brands, you know? Like, I think, you know, of course, Burner was selling, you know, cookie shirts and stuff like that, but they didn't have cannabis. You know what I mean? They didn't have dispensaries, you know? So we kind of just did our thing over there. And then every time we'd sell our flower, we never had enough flower, you know? Cause in the back, we only had, you know, altogether was maybe like 150, 200 lights, you know? And then the whole Prop D thing was kind of like, okay, we know in the next couple of years, legalization is going to happen. And when the legalization happens, you got to be ready to go, you know? And we thought, when legalization happened, it was just going to be like they flipped the light switch and we were legal now. Of course, California fucked that one all up. You know, it took forever. You know, no one was sure when we were going to open, when we could open, when it would be legal. Was it going to be track and trace? Wasn't going to be track and trace. What do you have to do? How does this work? You know, we're like, oh, cool. Now we'll be able to be in every single city and do all this shit. And it was the complete opposite. You know, it was like a bunch of red tape. No one knew what they were doing and everyone was kind of on their own. You know, and it's like, here we go again, back to square one, right? Like we thought we finally made it and we're going to be okay. And now, you know, we're legalization's here, you know, and I think that the last, 4 or 5 years of legalization has probably been like some of the hardest 4 or 5 years. You know, obviously the past was difficult, but it was spread over time where I told you guys earlier, I feel like the last 4 or 5 years is like being a fast forward, like the fastest fast forward you could go. That's how we're all just running around trying to make this shit work, you know, because it's fucking so difficult with all the red tape, you know, the red tape just makes it fucking hard, you know.
People are glad to hear that though, because they don't see that from the outside a lot. They think you guys, it's just nothing but birthday cakes and champagne bottles. You know what I'm saying? But
I wish, bro. Yeah. But yeah, it's been, you know, it's like you got to adapt constantly, right? It's like you want to build a new spot out, you can just be fully permit, fully licensed, right? The city doesn't allow license. So you have to do you have to figure out a way to convince the city to do it. So you have to do a bunch of application stuff and convince them that this is better. Some people do a development agreement. Some people, city will hand out a limited amount of licenses, you know? And then some people were doing like lotteries and it was fucking crazy, you know? So we're like, let's just hunker down in LA right now and let everyone else figure their stuff out. So the thing about it is we were always able to stay open under medical though, you know? So that was like our thing. So moved into the TLC building, which we're at now, right? Old, crazy building built in like the 1900s, like 100-year-old bomb bunker, basically, you know?
it works.
Wow. There was not even any drainage inside that building. And there's a CVS on the first floor, as most people know, and we have the second, third, and fourth floor, right? And I'm sitting there looking at this building like, dude, how are we going to get all the fucking water out of this building, bro? You know, like where's the drainage system for this building? You know, this is a concrete building with a CVS below us, you know? And we're like a couple of days into construction, I get a call from the landlord. There's water on Olympic Boulevard. And I'm like doing the math in my head. I'm like, for water to go on Olympic Boulevard, it either has to be the giant water main or they broke the sprinkler main. They're like, get over here right now. And there was like an old valve in a wall and someone was removing drywall and the valve just popped off and literally flooded the whole entire building, like water coming down the stairwells into the parking lot of TLC.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is going to be fucking fun. And we're like in CVS, in the back of CVS, like mopping up all the water. I'm like, bro, this is how we're going to start coming to the neighborhood.
Hey, if you like that video and you want to see more, make sure you hit the like button below and subscribe to the channel. First smoke of the day.